Okay. All right, so just those of you online, just remember we're going to record it. If you're not happy with that, unfortunately, I'm not going to change it because quite a few people have indicated they want to join, but they have other meetings, and the recording is the only way to really share it with them. So Etienne, have you also had a very cold morning?
Yes, thank you, Bert. Everything well on my side. Been doing a couple of things this morning, one or two chats. As all of us, we are constantly occupied, in my occupation especially, occupied by news 24/7 in terms of people wanting some support or needing guidance or people being worried about what's going on. So I just got some message this morning again of one of our best friends, a family member of theirs who passed away. So yes, we've been busy with all this lately, and therefore I think it's a very relevant topic of how do we deal with this when we are so overwhelmed by everything that is happening. But thank you for the opportunity, Bert. It's wonderful to share and be with you guys.
Yes, I must say, as I started preparing for this about 2 weeks ago, some of my clients had COVID, and I can now say that probably 50% and more have had COVID or are currently, going through it. And it's just devastating if you're in business as well, and you can't work, you're not feeling well. One-man business, even worse, then there's no income. But yeah, really challenging times we live in, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely challenging times.
Very, very challenging times.
Yeah, and this virus, sometimes it deals us a very hard blow.
Yeah, it's a very tough time. We're living in a very tough time.
For sure.
I think
it's bad news that we're living in these tough times.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that is catching up to most of us, Bert, is the fact that very few of us were prepared to deal with situations like this. We were caught unaware and off guard for this thing. Initially, maybe people thought, okay, it's going to come and go and it's go away and it's not that serious. But eventually we find that it's affecting us all. If not physically, our health, it is impacting on our lives on so many other levels, emotionally, socially, financially, work-wise, our identities of who we are and what we can do. And we necessarily had to redefine what is the value and the worth of our lives. And therefore, I think this is a very challenging time. There are many, many opportunities for us to grow and to learn. But that's what we need to talk about this morning, of how do we deal with this so that we can turn this tough and bad situation around in a growing opportunity for all of us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and markets that we thought were there, just think about export markets, import markets, the disruption. I see it with my clients who are exporting to China. That it takes a lot longer to get your product there. Cash flow is just a huge issue. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we need to work through. Yes. We'll just another minute or so, and then we'll start.
Bert, while we're waiting, I hope the people that are online have a cup of coffee, because we cannot discuss a serious topic like this without coffee or something warm in your hand at the moment.
Yes. So as long as it's not police coffee.
No, this is proper coffee, pure coffee.
Yeah, no, Etienne, you're right. Luckily, we have those small joys in life that we can have a cup of coffee. Hey?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. So let's start. I think we've had enough time, and I'd really welcome you guys on board, and nice to have you. And yeah, so I want to start this morning by just reading to you a couple of thoughts around a publication that I came across, which started my thinking. It talks about the four in five business owners of small businesses say their mental health has been negatively impacted by COVID-19. And we're talking about the 5 mental challenges this morning, so perhaps opportune to just see what they say. So one of the things the author talks about, he says that in the UK, SME owners say that COVID-19 has negatively impacted their mental health, with 1 in 5 describing their mental well-being as in a bad place. Okay, so 1 in 5 people say, you know what, I'm not in a good space, and obviously impacted their business. In the last year, a third of SME owners claim to have experienced depression. 60% have been affected by stress, and over half suffered from anxiety and also have had other sleeping problems. Additional, over a quarter of the SME owners have felt low self-esteem in the past 12 months, and a fifth have experienced loneliness. Well, amazing if you think about that. And that's what we're going to talk about this morning. And really, I'd like to share with you guys on how this, things are going. So how's this going to work? Initially, I'm going to go through a couple of slides just to set the scene. And then Etienne and I are going to talk. And at the end, I'm more than happy to field some questions. We're not a big group. So if you feel that, there's something urgent you want to bring to our attention, just raise your hand or put it in the chat box. I'll go and look in the chat box every so often to see if there's anything we can do, and especially while Etienne is talking, and we can talk with it. So yeah, so let's start with setting the scene. What are the 5 mental health challenges? I think firstly, just let me introduce Etienne, our speaker this morning. Etienne, really great to have you on board. He's the head pastor of En Route Relational Church, and that's been going for quite some time now. He's also a life coach trained in the Strengths Finder, and then he's a grandfather. So Etienne, nice to see that you've got lots of life experience as well. And being a grandfather, I must say, a great achievement, I'm sure.
Thank you, Bert. Being a grandfather is a new learning curve for me.
Absolutely. And then obviously very passionate about mountain biking, and very quickly does 100 kilometers on a Saturday morning. So awesome to see that. Right, who am I? Business coach, been a director of a number of companies in the past, had a corporate life, and then decided to go become an executive and business coach. At the moment, I have a franchise, which is the Action Coach franchise, and obviously I work within the rules of that franchise. But I'm also really passionate about business, and working with business owners and helping them through their struggles, and just asking them questions so they can get new insights into their life and into their business. So that's what I love doing, and that's why I'm standing here in front of you today. So just quickly, just some rules. I know that a lot of us dial in from home, so please just mute yourself. Understand that if the dog barks and so on, but perhaps it's probably a little bit disturbing for the others. So if you want to ask a question, you're welcome to unmute yourself. And at the end, especially, we're going to do that. So perhaps just for a start, for those of you who know how this stuff works, just go to the chat box and just tell us, where are you from? Where are you dialing in from? Is it in Joburg? Is it in the East Rand? Is it further away? We'd just like to know where you're from. Okay. You found the chat box, hopefully, and just type in to everyone, anything. Okay, from Cosmos City, that's great. From the north, from Pretoria, okay, from Kempton Park, Glen Vista, nice to have you, and Joburg South. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks for typing in. It's nice to see we got people from all around Joburg and around here. And we really want to add value to your life this morning, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. And you know that we're going to make a recording of this, so that's already here. So what I want to talk about just quickly is the 5 mental challenges that we think about, and perhaps we're going to talk about more today, but starting off with that emotional roller coaster. Okay, so emotions are up and down in this time. The one day things work out and you're very happy, and the next day or the next moment, you hear the bad news of perhaps a customer that stopped buying from you, says you can't continue, or just, COVID has put some very special friend perhaps in hospital, and you're very, very worried about them. Also in this time, we work from home. So we've sort of disconnected from our normal family, our normal work life, our normal friends, and we become lonely. And quite a lot of my clients have said they're really so hot full of Zoom. They don't really want to do any Zoom calls anymore. But Zoom is the technology that also connects us at the moment and helps us stay safe. There are lots of distractions as we work in our current environment. It could be our kids, it could be the dog, it could be things that happen in our environment, but it could even be that, just the emails that are coming in are distracting you from focusing on the work that you should be doing. Quite a lot of us can't switch off. At night we toss and turn and we think about all these bad things that can happen in our lives, and it's just very difficult to go to sleep because of all the sort of negativity. And now even with COVID level 4 lockdown again, that's put another spin on this, and we're already more than a year in this process. And then your children, they're difficult if you have children. So what happens to them? Well, the school is on and then it's off and then it's closed, and the pattern isn't there. And my wife being a teacher, you look at those children in your class, they all got masks on. You only see their eyes. And I just think about that. If you was a child in your school career and you had just a mask on and you couldn't really see what the facial expressions are of the people around you or the kids around you, they miss that social life and they become difficult. And we need to deal with that while we're at home. I want to share this Fisher's curve with you. We're going to be, it will be in a recording and you can get a copy. But if you think about what happens to you and the emotions that you go through in your life, this emotional roller coaster probably, and this drawing explains it quite graphically. And it all starts with when we heard this COVID thing come, and even now, there's a level of anxiety. Things are going to go up. We have more than 20,000 infections a day. How's this thing going to stop and what's going to happen? And then our government promised us that we're all going to get vaccinated, and we get to that level of we've got an answer and it's going to be happy. But this thing doesn't stop. And some of us just go the route of, well, what changes there? Why should I change anything? And that a lot of people are in denial about this stuff. And they drink all sorts of funny medicines and they do things. And then it's about, understanding what's that threat. And all of a sudden we become defensive and we get this anger in us. And why is this happening to us? And, what do I fear about the worst things? My kids are overseas, my kids are in Cape Town, whatever, what happens with them? And then you feel guilty about those feelings and anger. And you sort of end up in a despair position in that little valley there. And quite often we just find, this is just like I'm disillusioned. And I thought this was going to be over by now. We then get to some sense of hostility again. I'm going to make this work, but, even if it kills me, and a lot of people get stuck into work then and do lots of stuff and they just don't look after themselves. Finally, hopefully we get to that level of acceptance and we move forward. Level 4, however, has pushed us back a little bit because, again, we're now in this despair. We don't know exactly, what's going to happen in our lives and by when will this be out. The good news is I can just say that my kids living in Europe, they are moving around freely at the moment. They have been vaccinated, they are 30 years old, but the community and the society they have accepted and they are vaccinated and therefore they can return back to normal. And yes, they're still probably going to be ill, but they will not be as ill that they end up in hospital. So this whole COVID thing hopefully helps. What I'd like to share with you as well is just the saying from Napoleon Hill. It says, you come finally to believe anything you tell yourself often enough. And just think about those negative thoughts. Are you sort of repeating them, or are you repeating positive thoughts? Because it also says that, those things don't even have to be true in real life, but you'll start believing them. And if you hear a lot of negative talk and you are constantly exposed to that negative talk, about everything around COVID, perhaps we should put off the TV and stop believing what we're seeing there. So an interesting thought around what we think. When you look at coronavirus concerns of employees, this graph that I found on the internet talked about what were employees concerned about. And this was like about 6-8 months ago when I did this. And I'm sure that looking at this graph, things are still very, very similar. So firstly, your family and their safety. If you look at as was rated on this 5 or 7 point scale, 5.3 was the score that people gave for family safety. So I want to look after and make sure my family is protected and that they are looked after. And then I get to the economic impact, was the other fear. So what's going to happen to my income, to my business? And if I don't have clients buying from me, what is going to happen to me? Job security for those of us who are jobs that we don't have a business. But you think about your family, and quite a few people lost their jobs. That was like a serious impact. Societal impact. What's happening in our society? People talk about a business growth and an economy growth rate of in excess of 5% in South Africa for this year. But remember, it's off a very small base. So our society, and we can see that around us, people don't have money, and there are more people begging on the street corners and so on. And then there's this thing about salary reductions that people, businesses had to implement because they didn't get the same turnover and they didn't have the same profit. People getting sick, a major issue, and then mental health was at level 4 out of 7. So again,
you saw what? 2 cats. I was wondering it the other day as well, but I've realized he goes here to watch the cats in the yard.
Can I ask that you mute yourself, please, about the cats? Thank you. Right. Let's just look at some of the challenges facing us as business leaders. How do we manage the fears and anxiety of our team? And the question is, are you looking at that? Or how are your people adapting to your remote working tools and conditions? Oh, by this time, hopefully most of us have overcome that. And how productive and engaged are the near 100%, of our remote teams? Now, there's a lot of studies out at the moment that says that, first of all, they said lots of improvement, and now people are saying, well, it's about the same. There's so many disruptions and disturbances that the productivity input or improvements weren't actually fully, 100% put in place. How do we quickly articulate and execute our working society and policies? Again, what is it that we need to work with here in terms of our remote strategy? How do we enable our leaders to successfully manage a remote workforce? And how do we advance critical programs that have relied on in-person collaboration? And if you think about sales right now, I think one of the biggest problems is the closure of sales, getting in front of the right people to make those decisions that we need to make. Right, so looking at client meetings, looking at training and appraisals, those things are a lot of them have gone online. And still, yes, we believe that meeting in person is a lot better because, what is the body language you can see on a Zoom call? So in your team, you want them to engage in your business, not only in their body and mind, but also in their heart and spirit. And this whole COVID thing has really impacted that. And, some businesses and some owners got it right, that they got their teams more committed and they're leading them. The question is, how do you get their head and their heart and their spirit involved in your business and helping you drive your business so that you have a much higher performing business out there? So not just being the manager, but being the leader of the people in your business. So looking at the body, what are the things that we can talk about there? Making sure that we don't work in silos, making sure there's enough communication and collaboration. And I really believe communication is one of the biggest challenges. Develop the right tools and then develop the right skills. And obviously, we know that the Zoom skills and the Zoom technology, that or whatever you use like Teams, that's not going to change. There's no turning back on that. All right, so on the mind side, you need to set direction and transparency. What does success look like? How can we rapidly remove those barriers? Clarity on decision making, very important that we make those decisions, that they're not hanging around so that our team knows that where we're going. And then obviously, what is your roadmap in terms of your business, not only digitally, but what are you going to do for the next 90 days, the next quarter, and then perhaps the next year? Engage the heart of your organization. We spoke about that earlier. Engaging the strength and emotional commitment to drive continual learning and to create a safe and inclusive learning environment. And I suppose this graph of the identity iceberg is important because our actions, behaviors, and decisions of our team is driven by their beliefs, their values, and identity and skill. And also their specific beliefs and values and identity around COVID and COVID-19. And I know that a lot of, before this Delta variant, a lot of people said, well, this, children are not becoming ill. Well, I can tell you there's lots of children at the moment that are ill from this COVID-19 thing. And yeah, perhaps we've left them at school too long. But what is that environment that we have? Does it stimulate the right action, behavior, and decisions? And how can you as a leader help create that environment for your team? All employees, regardless of who they work for, deserve an environment where they are treated with respect and dignity. And obviously that's what we want to create as leaders in our business. Because we need to manage productivity, we need to manage remote working, and we need to upskill our teams. So managing in a time of crisis is about getting the team engaged and making sure they drive and serve our customers, regular check-ins with them, talk to them about performance, and make sure we train and develop as is needed. We talked about communication as an important aspect, but also emotionally. We need to connect with our team to make sure we understand their difficulties. And are we really connecting them or with them? In Action Coach, we've got this WIFL concept, what I feel like expressing. And quite often when we start a meeting, that's the first thing we do, because people come in from various places in their life and in their business, and now all of a sudden we're sitting in one meeting talking about one topic. And you really need to connect with and understand where people are. And then bolster the technology. And I think that's the important side as well. So I'd like to just hand over to Etienne at this point. Etienne is going to take us through the practical guidelines. Etienne, I'm not sure that you want the slide up. Perhaps you can start with the slide and then I can just go back to normal view.
Yes, all right, Bert, thank you. I think we can start with the slide. I'll just say a few things regarding the slide, and then afterwards we can just discuss and talk and have some questions or whatever. But for a while you can keep it up there. I'll quickly go through it. Thank you, Bert, for your presentation. I think there are so many valuable things that you've said, and right in the beginning when you mentioned the article that you read of what people experience and how I was so overwhelmed thinking on what people are experiencing, the worries and the fear and the anxiety that they have, the anger, the feelings of loss and grief for losing loved ones or losing my job or losing my well-being in terms of my sanity or my vigor for life. It's such a huge thing, and we all experience in a lesser or more way something similar to that. I must say it in the beginning, and I don't want to generalize. There are many studies out on what people are experiencing and what's going on, but we have to keep in mind and remember that everyone is unique, and every person reacts to this differently. And if you are different to what you experience or hear other people are experiencing, that's okay. That's all right. If other people say they're okay, they can cope with this, and you cannot, it's all right. And that's why we're talking about this. And this is my part of what I want to share this morning is on a personal level, the personal thing of you have to take care of yourself. You can be of no value to your business or your friends or people around you if you are not healthy and well and strong and courageous. So therefore,
can I ask you a question? I mean,
yes,
you had COVID, you had this virus.
Yes.
And personally, you went through quite a lot of trauma, and I'd say you experienced the virus with some bad symptoms. Do you want to just talk about that for a moment?
Thank you, Bert. Yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Yeah, I was surprised that we got the COVID virus. I initially thought I'm strong, I'm fit, I'm cycling a lot, I'm keeping healthy and being responsible and careful. And I thought I wouldn't get it. And when I got some lesser symptoms, I thought, oh, it's just a normal winter flu or something like that, up to the point where I had to phone my doctor and say, listen, this and this and this is happening, what now? And he said I had to go and test. And then I found out that I got the COVID. Initially, for the first 2 days, I was very surprised and I was a little bit worried, but not that much, because for the first 2 days, I felt quite strong and I'll be able to cope with this and what. And then after the 3rd day, it started turning downwards and I was getting iller. My wife got diagnosed with that as well. And we both had to isolate. Fortunately, we could do it together and support one another, but we were quite ill. And it's really a thing that this boggles with your mind. There are going so many things through your mind of how will I react, because you hear so many stories. You're aware of what has happened to other people or what processes might follow. And yes, every little thing that you hear or read or that you feel or that you experience anew, either it's a sore throat or it's a pain in your chest or whatever, it makes you anxious and worry and wonder, what now? Where is this going? So it made me realize that how strong is the internal seeking will, the vigor for life, to stay alive, to be well. Yesterday, I got an SMS from a family member of mine saying that people, when we are young, we are willing to waste our health to get money. But when we get older, we are willing to waste our money just to get good health back again. And that's such a strong thing for me to understand and to know that, yes, there are many things going through your life, but the moment when your health is being threatened, you are willing to sacrifice a lot of other things just for the sake to keep your health. And I think this is what we need to do. Our mental health, our emotional health, our relational health, but our physical health as well is necessary. And therefore, thank you for the opportunity to share this with you this morning. And therefore, I want to say that please, everybody must know that they are unique. And if your symptoms and your experiences and your reactions to what is going on is not exactly similar to what other people say, it's all right. You are unique. Don't ask the question, what is wrong with me? Rather ask the question, what is right with me? I'm unique. I'm dealing with this in a different manner. If it comes to a point where you feel that I cannot really cope with this thing, I've tried a couple of practical guidelines, even these that I'm going to give to you now, and it's not really sufficient supporting and helping me, please reach out. There is help available. And go and speak to some professional person. Go and see a psychologist or a life coach or your pastor or a family member, whoever, a doctor, your medical doctor. Go and speak to somebody. If you find that I'm really not coping, don't sit alone and just hope and wish for better days. We need to be active. It's your life. You take action. You're responsible. As Bon Jovi sang many years ago, it's my life. It's now or never. So it's the well-being of your life is in your hands. You need to take action, be responsible, think about this, make certain plans or change certain behaviors. I've spoken to many, many people lately saying that although this is a very bad time, this is also a wonderful opportunity for them to grow, to renew some of their thinking, to renew some of their relationships or their habits, to refocus on saying what is valuable in life and what is it that I want to give myself for? What is my passion? What is it that I feel this is what life is about for me? But if I may, I would like to quickly go to the first. Guys, regarding this, I want to say I've got a few, there's much more that we can say about this, but time-wise, I think I just want to summarize it by giving a few practical hints on what we can do in times like this. I know these are not necessarily meant for business help, but this is for your personal well-being, for you. If you are going to be well, you will be able let this flow through to some of your workers or colleagues or people, your family members or neighbors, if we are giving some adherence to what some of these practical hints might be. First, maintain a routine. This is what has happened. COVID is breaking up all the routines that we had. And therefore, for you to set a proper routine in terms of, since we're working from home or going into home and or into work and then back to home, or go to school and then for a week not going to school, our routines are so being jeopardized. So therefore, try and maintain a good routine in terms of your work. If you stay at home and work at home, set a time for, this is working time and now I'm off. Set a time, write down your routine, the things that you need to remember in terms of, when do I phone certain guys, or when do I go and watch a movie, or when do I just relax and sit and chat with my wife or play with the dog or whatever. Keep a proper routine. Don't just let any minute be the boss of your life. You set the routine in terms of what you're going to do, when, where do you decide, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to socialize, I'm going to phone a friend, I'm going to have a meeting, or I'm going to just walk around the block with a dog, or whatever it might be. So
Jeff, can I make a comment there? I think I've seen with my clients, those who have set that routine, they take proper coffee breaks, they take lunch break. You can't just sit and work all day. So they move out of the house, they can sit outside in the sun for half an hour, and they get recharged. And I think that's part of that routine, isn't it?
Yes, thank you. I think it's important. What me and my wife, some of our routines was, when we had this COVID virus and we were quite ill, we had the routine of going, sitting outside in the sun, getting some proper sunlight on our skin, and getting that vitamin D going through our system, and having some good hormones in our minds. So it's wonderful to have a routine, to almost force yourself to do certain things, to go outside, get fresh air, to walk the dog, go and sit and have a proper cup of coffee, or to allow yourself, not feeling guilty, to go and watch a movie, or to go and work in the garden, or whatever it might be. But to set yourself a routine of certain things that you know that is good for you, as much as you know it's good for you to work and spend time at work. It's also good for you to have a routine, although you're at home, to say, but now the work is finished. Because there's a difference of working from home or being at home, but constantly being working. So you have to get that right. Although you're at home, there is a separation between work and home, and you still have to allow yourself to have time for yourself and have good routines regarding that. Second one is keep contact. Although we're here and it's necessary for us to follow the rules and the things that are necessary, to not socially distance yourself from other people. Although they say we must have social distance, it's actually meaning physical distance. But we have to keep contact socially. You have to phone your friends. You have to phone your family members. You have to have a good chat with someone. You have to keep in contact with your loved ones or a friend. You have to talk about life, what you're feeling about, and have a good laugh, or cry with somebody who has lost a loved one. Our social connection with one another is really necessary. Set up a routine of once a week or once or twice a week, or whenever it might be good for you, to have contact with your friends, with a group, your church family, or a group that you're cycling with and you cannot usually cycle, to just chat to them and ask how they're going and what has happened. Have they read this article, whatever? Keep contact. Don't distance yourself socially from other people due to this. The third one is get proper sleep. Guys, I think we forgot. We take it for granted and we think, it's a necessary thing. When I'm tired, I'm going to go to sleep. You mentioned in the beginning, Bert, how many people are reporting that they're not sleeping well.
Yes.
They don't get proper rest. And that has a huge effect on our mind, on our vigor, on our productivity, on our well-being if we don't get proper sleep. There's many studies being done saying that the moment when you sleep and you sleep well, you are boosting your immune system. You are boosting your immune system. So apart from getting the jab, we need to get proper sleep as well too. And what a more opportune time in times like this for us to get proper rest, not feeling guilty. And I don't mean by taking a nap every 2 hours during the day, because that can also be a bad habit, but to see to it that you go to bed and sleep well. If you're not doing that, you've got to find out and see, is there certain things in my routine that prevents me from sleeping well? Are there things in my environment that I need to change? Do I need to go and see a doctor? This is the time for you to get into a good sleeping habit again and help yourself to get well. Exercise, I don't need to say much about exercise. We know how necessary it is for us to keep doing what we've been doing. Although initially in the lockdown, we couldn't go outside and we could only cycle in a perimeter of 5 kilometers from home or whatever, but keep on doing what you're doing and start new things. How many people have started? My son is working for a bicycle company, and they have boomed since the lockdown has started and the coronavirus, due to people trying to get outside, getting exercise, and people that hasn't been fit or active before starting to do new things. I think it's really important for us doing certain things, being active, because our brain secretes certain hormones that is good for us, makes us feel well and healthy and feeling confident the moment when we get exercise, proper exercise. 5, be informed. I think it's necessary for us to know what's going on in the world and to read and hear the news, but guys, not 24/7. The danger is that we're on our cell phones, watching the news, reading 24/7 and being overwhelmed with all the social media, with all the horrible stories of what people are telling you. And we cannot wait to see the next article or to react to what this one is saying and this one is doing. Please manage your information. Be informed, but if necessary, set a time. Say, only I'm going to allow myself to watch the news only between 1 and 2, or I'm going to read what is going on wherever, only between 7 and 8 in the evening or whatever. Otherwise, we're going to become, people differ in that way, but we're going to become people that are consumed analyzing everything. We're trying to absorb everything that is coming our way, and we know not everything is true. So therefore, be informed, but not for 24/7. And see to it that you have good resources the moment, or watch the best news channels, or get the best information, not being overwhelmed by all the conspiracy theories and all the bad stuff and everything that's going to go wrong and this has happened. It's not going to be beneficial for us. The last one, follow the rules, don't be silly. I think we've heard it enough everywhere. We need to trust the experts. We are not experts ourselves in terms of the virus and the medical stuff. Unless you are, you can do your own research or whatever, but trust the experts and follow the rules. In this time, we need to follow the rules. We don't need to be cowboys or think we know better. We're not going to adhere to any rules, and the government is silly or my boss is silly doing this. Just follow the rules. It's going to bring you to calmness, saying, I'm doing what I can. I'm not going to worry or bother myself to change the whole world around me. I'm just going to follow the rules and do what's best for me and to live well. And then the last thing that I want to say is, remember, this too shall pass. This will pass. We've been in the past. The human species is the most resilient and adaptive of all the species that there is in the world. And we can be resilient. This will pass. There will be a time. Yes, although it's having curves up and down, but the sooner we learn how to adapt, to be resilient, to be grateful for what we've got, although it's not much, and we wish and we hope for much more, but to say, this is how it is. This is how it is. And we're going to adapt and live according to what it is at the moment, the better it's going to be for us. Be creative, and this is what we're doing. On a creative level, we're trying to find new ways of doing business or relating to people or being good to ourselves. Be creative, guys. These are wonderful opportunities. If we really put our minds to it and we think and we apply certain practicals and we are willing to step outside the normal boundaries of what we defined as this is life, we might find that there's life outside of this comfort zone that we find ourselves in. Although it's in a discomfortable place, we might find that there's new ways of how life can be defined and what it can be for us. Stay safe, be good, take care of yourself, and if you need to, reach out to somebody that can help you. If you cannot help yourself on a proper level, reach out to somebody, either a business coach that can help you with your business thinking and planning and strategies, or go and see a psychologist, or see your doctor, or go and speak to a life coach, or whoever it might be. Reach out. Bert, thank you for the opportunity. It's wonderful. And I hope there are a couple of questions that we might be able to discuss and have some time together.
Yes, I want to thank everybody for joining us for this virtual coffee. I think it's great to get some perspective. I think we think about these things, but we don't necessarily structure our thoughts in a way. Thank you for that, Etienne. I really appreciate that. So I just wanted to make sure people understand that they can connect with you or me if they have an issue. So here's our contact detail. Send us an email. From my side, if you're a business owner and you are really struggling with your business and you feel you need some help, I'm more than happy to invest some of my time helping you to perhaps think differently about your business, identify some low-hanging fruit perhaps, and help you get through the difficult side. And there's also my website that you can go and visit. There's some free resource that you can download. And then Etienne, I've put your email there, I trust as well. And if people want to make contact with you directly, they're welcome to do that.
Yes, absolutely, Bert. I can just say I don't have a website for myself, but yes, people are more than willing to contact me. And from there, after they've contacted me, I will get in contact with them and we can set up a session or two and just give them either telephonically or via Zoom, or if possible in future in person, we can see how we can be of benefit to one another.
Right, so I want to open the floor. I don't know if any of you have any questions, but please, if you have a question, you want some advice, or you want to make just a comment or share your experience, you're more than welcome.
Good morning to everyone who's here. So first of all, I just want to thank you, Bert, for this platform and just for providing this. And thank you so much, Etienne. Yeah, the way the world is at the moment, it's really, really sad. Like everything, it just feels like everything is just so gray at the moment. But I just wanted to ask on that point of getting informed. It's really so hard at the moment because everything is negative. Even when you go to the news platforms, it's still negative there. I've been trying to stay off social media and all of that because the minute you go there, all you see is rest in peace, and that can be really depressing. Yes. So I just wanted to ask, how do you then filter to see, like to be informed only on the good news and the stuff that you need to know as a business owner or to grow your business?
Thank you very much. I hope I pronounce your name correct, Cielo.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's absolutely true. We need to be very careful. I think Bert mentioned it in the beginning, saying that I'm a pastor as well, and I'm thinking on what Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23 says, is that we need to protect our minds, because from our minds is where life flows and life is defined. So we need to be very protective of what we allow into our minds. And therefore, in times like this, if it's necessary, if you find that we are being overwhelmed by negative things and you cannot distinguish between, this is nonsense and this is worthwhile and I like this or I don't like this. If it gets to you, if it's overwhelming, then for a week or two or for a month, even if it's necessary, put off all the news. Don't watch news. Get a few good books or watch a few good movies or inspirational talks or whatever that will fill our minds with positive stuff. We don't need to be on social media 24/7. We are not forced to watch the news, or we are not forced. Yes, we're inquisitive and we want to know what's going on in the world, but you still can decide for yourself what is valuable, what is good for me. And if somebody else says, have you heard this? And you say, hey, no, I haven't heard it, but wow, that's interesting. Or no, I don't like that, or I don't care, or whatever. You need to protect yourself. You need to know what is healthy and well and good for yourself. And there are a couple of good sources. If we do some effort and find that this news channel is much more on a positive note, or this Instagram profile feeds me with positive feelings or things like that, then you go for it.
Yeah, I think, can I just add to that? I think it's important that you go and find some of the positive stuff. So watch some motivational videos. There's lots of stuff on YouTube that you can go back to. One of the things I do with my clients is every Wednesday morning, we meet for half an hour. And they have a free choice. They can come or they don't, but it's about some motivation on a Wednesday. You know, the week is 5 days long or 6 days long, depending on which industry you're in. And by Wednesday, people need some more motivation. And it's just by connecting with other business owners. I think that's one of the main things is people, you know, we believe we are alone in our struggles, but you'll soon find out that every business owner is in that same war. They're in the same struggle. And they just motivate you as well when you talk about that stuff in your business.
Mm.
All right.
On a practical level, Bert, it's a wonderful thing to connect with people in a similar sphere as your business, to talk to them and say, what have you heard lately? What's going on? What's positive? I've read this article, or I've seen this video clip or whatever, to share that with one another. That's positive. That is building us in terms of the sphere in which we share certain things. So I think that's a good practical thing.
So here's an invite to you guys. If you feel that you want to join that Wednesday morning huddle and just see, and you know, you're welcome to join it for a month or so. You want some inspiration, come and listen to what the other guys are saying. There's always some good news. There's always a bit of a, you know, and people that have achieved some stuff, even if it's a very small thing, overcome perhaps a bad relationship, or won a great deal in terms of new business, or just that, hey, you know, we're all suffering together, and how are we going to make this work, and how do we support each other? Because that networking is really important. So I'd like to suggest you surround yourself with positive people. And one of the things I've got here behind me is this little picture here, and it talks about, you know, taking ownership, being accountable and responsible, versus on the other side, blaming everybody else, having excuses and being in denial. Well, if you are in business, that's your business. Your results are up to you. The question is, who's holding you accountable? And what are you doing about, you know, growing your business? Even in these difficult times, there are opportunities. And even this morning, I had a session with one of my clients, and, you know, they've just finished an export contract to China, and they're sort of going through this 2-month period before summer. They're in the gardening sort of industry. And the point is, how do we get them to survive and thrive through this winter period in their business, which is traditionally a very slow period? Right, so but there's all that stuff. Are there any other questions? Anybody else with a question? If there isn't, I think we're going to sign off. Etienne, once again, thank you. I really appreciate it. And guys, watch our LinkedIn profiles. We might just do this again in the near future. And thank you for your time, Etienne. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bert. It's a wonderful opportunity for me, and I want to wish everyone well. Take care, look after yourselves, be responsible, but see to it that you smile often, that you laugh. even if you have to read a good book that makes you laugh or whatever, it's necessary for us in times like this, tough and stressful times, to get enough laughter and smiling and being joyous and happy.
Yeah, and thank you for the comments in the chat box. I really appreciate it. And we're glad that we could help and make a difference in your life today. So guys, keep safe and go well.
Thank you, Bert.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.